Welcome back to the news review segment of this show, the Power Breakfast Show. My name is Charles Odambo, like I told you earlier, and in the panel today I have Mheshimiwa Joe Mtambu, Member of Parliament for Mwingi Central. Immediately after him is Mheshimiwa Titus Lote, Deputy Governor, West Pokot County. I also have with me Senator Martha Wangari, nominated Senator, and Mheshimiwa Peter Opondo Kaluma, Member of Parliament for Homa Bay Town constituency. Looking at what the Daily Nation has on page 5, it talks about NASA has its first rally in Eldoret. The governor Eldoret, Mr. Mandago, issues an ultimatum and tells them, guys, come, do your thing, but do not insult, please. Wasin Gishu Governor Jackson Mandago yesterday welcomed NASA leaders, but warned them against insulting leaders from the county. NASA leaders are expected to hold a rally at 64 Stadium in Eldoret tomorrow. Choice of venue and timing. Is it a coincidence or is it strategic? No coincidence at all. If you remember when we were talking about the appointment of the Vice Chancellor for Moi University, we gave indications at that point in time that we were going to Eldoret. And I can tell you, Charles, the welcome preparations the people had started before, that, tour got botched up was huge. I mean, tarmac roads were being, cleansed with water, to await the arrival of ODM and the COD brigade them, now NASA. So we've been, delaying going to Eldoret. Every time we have planned to go, something has been intervening. This time we are committed to have our NASA, launched in Eldoret, not simply because there is, some strategy around it, but we are saying the people of Eldoret have wanted to listen to us for far too long. So we'll be launching from Eldoret. I want to welcome, the people of Kenya who will be able to reach Eldoret to be there tomorrow. We are already on top gear. We are going there. Let me invite even Governor Mandago. NASA is an institution. What we want to discourage him from doing is a political formation. It's a huge institution in this country. It's the next government. Let me be that simple. It is not right for Mandago to imagine, being an invitee to our event in Eldoret. He can dictate what we are going to do. You cannot dictate for NASA what they are going to say and what they are going to do. So what is wrong with these? Let us invite him. I mean, it does not fall within his powers to dictate what we say, and it does not fall within his powers as governor to even do anything if we were to say anything. There are institutions in this country, to give such warnings. But I welcome him.
I really want to concur with what Mandago has said, and I think it is a high time for this region where the Deputy President comes from, that is Eldoret, to show the maturity of democracy. Because I do not expect that to happen if, for example, the Deputy President will want to do a rally in Kisumu. Because what we're going to see is pelting of stones and a lot of riots. That's a perception. That is not a perception.
But it was informed of the other day. No. We need to make this clear.
It was not a perception.
Excuse me, Mheshimiwa Deputy Governor. As a leader, we need to move away from stereotyping. Mheshimiwa William Ruto has been in Kisumu and Nyanza countless times, and we've not had incidents.
Well, I'll actually say this. And I think it's important for us to also go back to our history. We can go back to history.
So now you
go back to the history of where Kenyatta, you remember the story of Kenyatta of 1970s.
And it is the same, you would say times are different.
I'm saying times are different.
But
the more things are changing, the more things are remaining the same. What Mandago is actually saying is that we're welcoming you so that we show you how mature this region is to be able to receive leaders. But I think it's also correct to say do not have abuses. Why? And you are telling us here that he does not have control of what you're supposed to say. I think he has, and even you has. All of us have control in terms of telling our readers to say what is supposed to be said, because even our constitution allows us to talk, but it does not allow us to say anything. And so I think he's only reminding them that probably it is important and key for them to know that they are only coming for a campaign.
Why is he associating us with abuses?
No, he's only trying to give advice, and I think advice is allowed.
No, not from him. We don't need.
I think, Kaluma, let us not put emotion to this. I mean, we are at a very sensitive time. And caution is also very important. Anything we say as leaders is what transpires to the electorate or to the people. And if we say things without actually measuring them, then it's just a spark of a word, then it can spoil everything. But coming back to our discussion and listening to Kaluma, you know, when you listen to anybody from NASA and especially from ODM speaking, they are just like Christians. You know, Christians will not say 2, 3 sentences or words without mentioning Jesus Christ. Kaluma will not mention a thing without saying ODM. We have just heard him now. Raila will not say anything without mentioning ODM. That confirms that NASA is ODM. And so we are wondering whether it is ODM or it is NASA. And that's what I'm saying. I mean, Kenyans need to be very careful with what they are being told. Whether it is NASA or CORD, I want to tell them it is ODM. And that's why as campus we have said, you know what? This thing, we have to look at it with a different eye, because we are being cheated here. I want to be on the record saying that I was the first person with Honorable Kisoi. We were the one who started agitating for implementation of MOU between Kalonzo and Musyoka, and we said if there is no MOU, there is no code. And true to our words, the code is finished now. They said if there is no Baba, there is no NASA. And I want to believe now NASA is a past tense thing. So I'm not...
Let's hear from you about this rally in Eldoret. And need I remind you, Mheshimiwa Kaluma, that Nairobi County, under the leadership of Governor Evans Kidero, issued an ultimatum to politicians and told them, if you want to campaign in Nairobi, you must use the official national and official
to
language.
Politicians.
Thank you, Charles.
Not targeting a political formation and say don't abuse. You know, that is a stereotype.
Okay. It's my time.
That we can't agree.
It's my time. And you know, you cannot decide that when it comes from Kidero, it's okay, but when it comes from Mandago, because it's not in your party, it is not okay. And that also applies to issues of corruption. We've seen double standards with CORD family, that when it is your person, it is your thief. But when it's someone else,
it's NASA now.
But this NASA, I think I hear Honorable Kaluma say institution. I think we need to redefine institutions, you know, from even the dictionary, what an institution is. What I see in NASA is just an amorphous group. First of all, it's not even different from CORD. In fact, the only addition we have there is Musalia Mudavadi.
So it's not the same.
It is CORD. It is really...
So it's not the same.
It's not the same.
It's not the same.
I'm saying the only addition to this NASA, they call NASA, is only Musalia Mudavadi. They have been in CORD. They have been in CORD. And in terms of this rally, I think everyone has the right to actually assemble anywhere. In fact, I would expect them to even go to Murang'a and other places to hold their rally. But the caution on everything we utter must be put not only by Mandago, but by all of us. Because if you look at the violence cases that have happened even before, it has been through the utterances of politicians. So we must take caution, and NCIC has actually cautioned us, the police have cautioned, Mandago has cautioned. I would caution that wherever you go, just the way the president and the deputy goes to Homa Bay and Migori and uses respectful language, let us watch our tongues. Let us not insult anyone. Let us not raise tension, because what Honorable Kaluma says is that Mandago has no right to tell me anything. There are institutions to deal with that. So they actually plan to utter issues that will need institutions to deal with. So it is upon ourselves and every person who is a leader and calls themselves a leader that you do not raise tensions, you do not incite violence. I've seen it happen even in the Senate. When we were debating the IEBC laws, they kept threatening us that if you pass this thing, we will actually call 2007 baby or child play. That one must be cautioned from the beginning, that violence cannot be the way to leadership.
Well said. It's very important that as a country, gentlemen, you as leaders, you need to just relook at what led us to 2007. And one thing is clear: regardless of which political inclination you belong to, it's important that we watch what we say, because this is normally the beginning of all trouble. It's the responsibility, Mheshimiwa, of you and I, and Mheshimiwa Mandago and Mheshimiwa Kidero,
Charles,
to watch out.
Charles, let me agree with you. And I hope you will listen to me.
I am listening.
I have no problem a person saying let us have peaceful messages, let us campaign, with words that are not abusive. You know what I mean? What I have a problem with is an attempt by Mandago to stereotype the NASA formation. When you go out there, before we are in Eldoret to propagate our policies, to say don't come to abuse people, I mean, what message are you sending? That is what we say no to. The message of Kidero, was universal. I don't want politicians to use languages that can divide the country. That is number one. Number two, we don't want a situation where there is selectivity. in terms of what you require formations of this country to do. I agree with you for once that as leadership, what we say is just so important. In fact, being a leader is being, followed. And I agree with you. We must be cautious in terms of how we conduct ourselves, how we act, how we say. But remember, the Mandago telling us that is forgetting that the president himself was calling Raila Muguruki in Nyeri the other day. You know what I mean? So let this apply universally. You see, the abuse as the deputy president is going out there with. What hurts me and what made me emotional is when, Mandago is trying to suggest that it is the business and actually the focus of NASA to abuse anybody.
Well said. I think you put it out very clearly. The important thing is we always have to remember we have a country. The most important thing we always have to remember is 2 wrongs have never made a right. Moving on very swiftly. The Standard on page 7 has a story about 8 governors on the spot by the Senate Committee on Accounts. You hinted about this, and they're supposed to be interrogated and probably taken to court. Senate now wants 8 governors investigated and prosecuted for breaching financial and procurement laws. In a Downing report by the Public Accounts and Investment Committee on 10 counties, the governors were found to have violated the law by making payments to the Council of Governors, a constitutionally funded body, annually by the Exchequer. Now, this is in a 314-page document that Senator Sospita Ojamao Jamong of Busia, Senator Patrick Kayemba of Trans Nzoia, Governor Sospita Ojamao Jamong Busia, Governor Patrick Kayemba Trans Nzoia, Governor William Kavogo Kiambu, Governor Salim Vuria Kwale, Governor Okoto Bado Migori, Governor Jack Ranguma Kisumu, and Governor Daniel Waithaka of Nyandarua, together with Governor Moses Lelol Kulal of Samburu, are mentioned. I will start with you.
Well, I think
is it so hard to manage public funds at the county level?
Well, I would not want to say that I am actually a defender of what has been put down there. But I think it's important for us to also look at the interest that the Senate, which is supposed to take the interest of the counties at heart, is actually doing to our counties. You can already realize that a lot of senators, a lot of them actually found themselves on the offside when we were going for the last election, 2013. Most of them actually miscalculated and thought Senate was where power was. Now they've realized that in the counties, the governors are the people who have the power. And so there is a lot of animosity that started immediately after that. And so Senate, instead of being the house that is supposed to take the interest of the counties at heart, became the house that was supposed to be used to actually oppress counties. And it was the oppression of at personal level, not at a constitutional or an institutional level, where senators then directly started parading governors and putting them in a very bad light so that they can get an easy landing point when they want to become governors. And actually this is confirmed by the fact that most of the senators sitting wants to become governors.
So you're saying this is like witch hunting?
No, I'm actually starting to build up the point. You do not expect senators who are hiring those governors' seat to talk very nicely about governors. And so anything that comes out like that, for example, what has been mentioned there is that Senate governors have contributed money to the Council of Governors. We know
a constitutionally set up organization funded by the Exchequer.
Yes, it is funded by the Exchequer. But the amount of funding that is supposed to go to the Council of Governors from the Exchequer is not enough. And so governors then decided to fortify the Council of Governors to function well like it's supposed to be. Then each county is supposed to contribute. And I don't think there is a problem if the institution that is building you up is fortified by yourselves. So I do not really think there is a problem if that is exactly what is being said. But if it is corruption that it's touching to other things, then probably I will not agree with that.
Senators, you are on the heels of governors because you realize that is where power and money lies.
They are power hungry.
We're not power hungry. And I think that for me is really an escapist route by the governors. I sit in the County Public Accounts Committee, and I will tell you I'm not intending to be governor. That is one. Second, these reports that you're seeing here, we've interrogated them over time, and it's like saying Honorable Kaluma, if Honorable Kaluma wants to be president, they should not oversight the national government. You know, it does not work like that, and you cannot use that to run away from accountability. Article 96 gives us the right to protect and watch over the counties. That also means that you protect them from even the cannibalizing. Because what we expected after devolution is that after 5 years, we'll be able to say, is healthcare better? Is agriculture better? We should be able to see services. But I'll tell you what is happening in these counties, Charles. You'll actually think it is ungodly. You'll be disgusted.
How is it in Nakuru, where you come from?
Not just Nakuru, because it's not
for
amongst
example,
the 8. There are issues in every county, and I'll tell you they cut across. It is not about Jubilee, this one. It is not about code. They cut across in terms of impropriety. I mean, we have seen even a governor deposit 100 million in someone's account. You know, we have seen crazy things in these reports. So let them not demonize this to run away from accountability. If you have been accused of an impropriety, it is up to you to actually defend yourself. Clear your name. If you think so, then you are prosecuted, then defend yourself. And this idea of, since senators want to be governors or the other way around, in fact I think they are less than 50% who want to be governors. But they amplify these ones so that they can kill our oversight role to actually look at the monies that have been sent to the counties. And let me tell you, Charles, it's not just about the monies that are sent to the counties. In fact, the bigger devil, and I will tell you, it is the local revenue collection. And they made sure they have gone to court. In fact, for over 10 months, we were not able to look at these reports because they had gone to court to seek painkillers so that they are not held into account. And they said Senate has no mandate to oversight. And the court ruled expressly that we have every right to question the money that goes to the counties. So I think it is a matter of accountability. Nobody is above that, and governors should not use the fact that senators in an election that has not even come want to be governors. And I'll tell you, in these reports, I have looked at each and every one of them. We have interrogated them. If there is any witch hunt, let anyone come and say, because what I've seen personally, what is in the newspapers is simply a tip of the iceberg.
Well said. I'll give you a chance.
Actually,
because you're in the crank of this.
Charles, I want to agree with her in totality. What you are saying here is nothing. If our President Uhuru Kenyatta today, I will issue a presidential degree and say
an executive
order that 1,000 shillings is not useful after 30 days. You will see how many governors will rush to the bank to change the 1,000 shillings. I tell you for free, and with a lot of information which I have, these governors, and I'm not talking about my friend here who's seated here, the money they are hiding in their bedrooms is enormous. You will not believe it. I come from a county whereby we are suffering. Yet a governor can go in his bedroom and give you 100,000, 100 million, 200 million without just going to the bank.
The money they have in their bedroom.
Yes.
Have you walked into any of the bedrooms?
We know, we get up, we have some, that thing, let me tell you, I want to ask one Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta to issue that executive order and say 1,000 shillings will not be used in next 20 days. You will see the chaos which will happen in the banks today. And one need to explain this money we are banking today comes from there. That is where the problem will come from.
Mheshimiwa Kaluma, that's interesting, similar to what happened in India some time back.
Yes, we have the issue of corruption, and it is a societal problem. What we want is institutions to fight corruption and to deal with corruption, and to do so in good faith, not politics around corruption. I can tell you, Charles, that this story, you know, when I heard of the possibility that some governors could go to court, I thought it was a very serious issue. This is the kind of nonsense we don't want to hear. You know, we've listened to cases with potentials for corruption, not a situation where governors by resolutions are saying, let us sustain this institution whose duty is, among others, to help us sustain devolution. This is something that, in fact, I'm now going to be a lawyer for free for these governors. This is what we call utter nonsense. We want a situation where, you know, people do not begin to think that fighting corruption is the president's through decree and others. We have EACC. What we've done is that we have weakened EACC over time, and we've made it a tool for politics. What we want to hear is that, you know, the Senate is intervening in its, you know, secondary oversight, because primary oversight is at the county assembly with real issues of corruption, not jokes. But let me end by saying something. You know, there is the thinking that governors have a lot of money. And Charles, let me for once say it speaks to the weaknesses of our institutions. You know, under the law, the county assemblies are to the county governments, and those are governments. They are not subordinate to the national government. Actually, there are 48 governments in this country. One national government and a government in each of the 47 counties. Now, the county assemblies are to the county governments what the National Assembly in particular is to the national government. There is no coin a governor or a deputy governor can reach and use without the approval of the county assembly.
I'll tell you, it has happened.
Okay,
let me tell you.
Let me finish. Yes, let me finish.
That is not right.
Why it happens is what I'm speaking to.
Yeah.
Weaknesses in our institutions.
No, Kaluma.
Let me finish.
You'll get a chance. You'll get a chance. You'll get a chance.
Let me finish. When we went for the elections, last time, the people of Kenya thought that they were electing into the county assemblies the former councillors. You get what I mean? So if there is the possibility that a governor can reach a coin without the approval of the assembly, it is a weakness in the institution of the county assembly, which the people of Kenya have to address as we approach elections.
So you are saying
not a governor's problem.
You're saying
let us move from rumors.
No, I want you to take that because you gave the mirror thing with the national government and the National Assembly.
Yes.
So if there is corruption in President Uhuru Kenyatta's government, then it's the National Assembly to blame. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is that if Uhuru Kenyatta has a situation where he's accessing so much money which are not properly oversighted, it is truly National Assembly. And I've said here before that we are giving the national government too much money, more so on devolved functions like health. And that is why you see corruption in health, corruption in agriculture, corruption in the ministries that deal with these so-called devolved functions. We must now cost functions and put monies where they are. That way you easily oversight them.
Well said.
But let us not blame government.
Well said. For how possible is it? You have the last word.
Well, I don't think the rumors that we are actually peddling here are true. That governors can stock up to 100 million.
How much money do you have in your bedroom?
I do not have any shilling in my bedroom. Probably what I have is some few coins in my bedroom.
It's not a governor, it's just a deputy.
Basically what I'm saying, a deputy governor and a governor are all elected. What I'm actually saying is to actually follow what Kaluma is saying. It is very, very important that we put our institutions to function and effectively function. We cannot actually rely on individuals to help us advance the development of this country. And I think what Senate is doing, from what Martha has said, the oversight role of Senate is not to take over what ASCC is supposed to take. Because what senators have actually come down to is to start looking at the books of accounts of counties instead of actually advancing the development agenda of counties at the national level. We've got too much money that remains at the national government. Senate is supposed to be following that. They're supposed to make laws that are actually supposed to bring this money back to the counties so that it can be used. But what senators are doing is that they're not discussing, probably if they're discussing at a very small level, how much they can be able to advance the interest of counties from the House of the Senate. What they do is they look at book of accounts, and I think every senator has got a book of accounts of their counties, because that is what their interest is, which is basically working out of what they're supposed to do. Because if senators truly start fighting for their counties, irrespective of how much money they are able to take to their counties, those counties will develop. Because then when we got too much money, like we are also saying, that's 45% of this budget goes to the counties. Then institutions at the county level are supposed to be strengthened, and then we build up our anti-corruption institutions so that we cannot allow people, because even if we bring angels now, which we do not have, after some time the system will make them not be angels. And so the systems are what we are supposed to build up.
On that, I need to say something on that.
I'll give you 30 seconds because I need to take a commercial break.
Just because we are looking, first of all, we are not in the business of generating these audit reports. It is the Auditor General who is tasked with that work to actually...
Yours is supposed to interrogate that report.
It is our committee. Maybe it's high profile because it is picked by the media easily. It does not mean that we are not doing anything else. Because like yesterday, we are just sitting with CRA in the new formula of
allocation of resources.
And I can tell you, senators fight for their counties to have money, but you cannot tell us that you will not get angels, so let us spend what we have badly and get away with it. It can't work like that. And in terms of the oversight, the primary oversight of the county assembly, and I totally agree with Honorable Kaluma, and that is how it's supposed to be. In fact, in the case of the governor, they had said that the Senate has the second, the same way you are arguing, but I will shock you. One governor came to appear before the County Public Accounts Committee, came with the majority leader, came with the minority leader, came with the chairman.
With the assembly.
Yes, assembly, came with the chairman of the PAC of the county assembly, came with the budget committee.
He was right.
And I'm like, what is happening? Because you cannot expect that county assembly to hold that governor accountable when they're in their pocket. In fact, he had just come from an impeachment motion. You can actually see how the sequence of events. But more importantly, this, and I actually tell Honorable Kaluma to feel free to represent them, but we must put it out there that you cannot fight for more resources if you cannot account for the little that you even get. Because are we getting better water resources? Are we getting better health? Because that is not translating. We should be able to feel devolution. Are we feeling it? Apart from the silence, apart from the
we have to bring this to a close. One of my instructors, Jay Muya, says corruption is an issue of ideology. Those who are crying corruption are crying just because they have not got the opportunity to be corrupt. The day they get it, like you said, all the angels become devils. We'll be taking another commercial break, and when we come back, there is a supposed constitutional crisis